Okay, this is the College Algebra Exam 1 review for Spring 25. Starting off with question number 1 here. I'm going to solve the linear equation, simplify your answer if possible, and I'm going to show our work. Go ahead and write it. 2x minus 3 times 4x plus 5 minus 3 is equal to 5x times 2 minus 3 plus 7. So go ahead and just simplify in each side with like terms. So our left side is going to stay the same. So 2x minus 3 times 4x plus 5 minus 3 is equal to 5x times negative 1 plus 7. So now the next thing we want to do is distribute this negative 3 to the 4x and the 5, and this 5x to that negative 1. So we're going to leave left with 2x minus 12x minus 15 minus 3 is equal to negative 5x plus 7. Very important on our left side here that negative does go along with the 3, so it gets distributed to both. Now we're going to combine our like terms again. So we're going to have 2x minus 12x is going to leave us with negative 10x. Then negative 15 minus 3 is going to be minus 18 equals negative 5x plus 7. Now getting all the same terms on each side, I'm going to add the 10x on this side, on both sides, and I'm going to subtract the 7 on both sides as well. So with that, our left side is going to be 25, negative 25 is equal to 5x. Divide both sides by 5. That means that we know x is going to be equal to negative 5.
Okay, so this next one is asking us to solve these equations and identify them as conditional, identity, or contradictions. So this first one is going to be, we have 2 times 3x minus 5 plus 12 is equal to 3 times 2x plus 3 minus 7. If we simplify this down, we're going to distribute this 2. So then we're going to have 6x minus 10 plus 12. And over here we're going to have 6x, distributing this 3, plus 9 minus 7. If we simplify these like terms, we're going to have 6x plus 2. And over here we're also going to have 6x plus 2. So we know that this is going to be an identity equation because the left side is equal to the right side. Okay, so our next one says x minus 3 plus 2x minus 5 is equal to 2 times x plus 3 minus 11. Okay, so we're going to distribute some things and simplify. So this negative, since it's multiplied, we need to distribute this negative. So we have x minus 3 minus 2x minus 5 is equal to 2x, again distributing this to 2x plus 6 minus 11. Okay, simplifying this down a little bit, we have an x and a negative 2x here. So that's going to simplify down to negative x. We have a negative 3 minus 5, which is going to be negative 8. And on this side, we still have our 2x. And then 6 minus 11 is going to be negative 5. So since these don't equal the same on each side, we need to keep going and simplify. So we're going to add our like terms. So I'm going to add this x to this right side. So then I get negative 8 is equal to 3x minus 5. I'm going to add 5 to this side. And I'm going to get negative 3 is equal to 3x. So then I solve this and I get x is equal to negative 1. So I wrote that. X is equal to negative 1 because I divided both sides by 3. So since this solved down to an x equals some number, we know that this is a conditional statement. Our last one is 3 plus 5 times 2x plus 3 is equal to 8x plus 3 times 2x plus 4 minus 4x. Okay, simplifying this down, this left side, we need to distribute. So we're going to have 3 plus 10x plus 15. And on this right side, we're going to have 8x. Again, we need to distribute. Plus 6x plus 12 minus 4x. So now we can add some like terms. So on this side, all we can do is add this 3 and 15 together. So we're going to have 10x plus 18. And on this right side, we can add all of these x's together. So we're going to have 8x plus 6x minus 4x. It's going to be 10. So this side's going to be equal to 10x plus 12. We can already see a little bit of an error here, but I'm going to keep solving to show you a little bit more. We're going to subtract 10x from both sides. We're left with 18 is equal to 12, which is not true, so we know that this is going to be a contradiction. Number 3 asks us to solve these following rational equations. So the first one is 4x over 5 minus 2/3 equals 7x over 10 minus 2. Okay, so step 1 is we need to find a common denominator. So think about as this 2 is over 1, we need to find a term that is common between all three of these, which the only one is going to be 30. So we need to multiply each denominator to end up getting 30. So 5 times 6 is 30. So this first one, we're going to multiply the top and the bottom by 6 because we're really only adding, or we're just multiplying it by 1. So we're not changing the formula at all. This next one is going to be 10. So negative 10 over 10 times 2 over 3. This next one is going to be 3. So we're going to have 3 over 3 times 7x over 10. And this last one's going to be 30. So 30 over 30 times 2 over 1. So simplifying these fractions, we get 6 times 4, which is 24. 24x over 30. 10 times 2 is going to be 20. 20 over 30. 7 times 3 is 21. 21x over 30. And then 30 times 2 is 60, so minus 60 over 30. So these are the same fractions as our original equation. They're just adjusted so they have the same denominator. So now we can multiply the whole thing by 30 and cancel out those denominators. So this is going to cancel with all of these denominators. We're just going to be left with our top, so we get 24x minus 20 is equal to 21x minus 60. And so now we can add like terms, minus 21x minus 21x. So we have 3x on this side, minus 20 equals negative 60. Add 20. We get 3x is equal to negative 40. If we divide by 3, we get x is equal to negative 40 over 3. That's going to be our answer for the first one. Our next equation is x plus 3 over 5x plus 2 is equal to x minus 4 over x. Okay, again, so we have to find that common denominator. So we need to find something common between 5x, 1, and x. That is going to be 5x. So we don't have to multiply this first fraction by anything because the denominator is already 5x over 5x. This middle one, we have to multiply the top and the bottom by 5x. 2 over 1. And this last one, we only have to multiply it by 5. So we have 5 times x minus 4 over 5x. Cool. So let's simplify these down. We end up getting x plus 3 over 5x. And then we get plus 10x over 5x is equal to, let's do 5x minus 20 over 5x. Multiplying this whole thing by 5x to cancel out those denominators, we get x plus 3 plus 10x is equal to 5x minus 20. So we can simplify down. We have 11x plus 3 on this side. We have 5x minus 20. We can subtract 5x from both sides. You're going to be getting 6x plus 3 is equal to negative 20. Subtract 3 from both sides. 6x is equal to negative 17. Oh, we are subtracting 3, so we need to go more negative on the number line. So we actually have 6x is equal to negative 23. Divide by 6. Divide by 6. X is equal to negative 23 over 6. That's going to be our final answer. Our last equation is going to be 1 over n minus 1, is equal to 5n over n squared plus 3n minus 4 minus 3 over n plus 4. Great. So step 1 is I want to factor out this middle denominator to see what those factors are. So we need two numbers that multiply to negative 4 and add to positive 3. So those are going to be 4 and negative 1, right? So then we can rewrite this as 1 over n minus 1 is equal to 5n over n minus 1 times n plus 4 minus 3 over n plus 4. So this factor here is convenient because that's our other two factors. So when we find our common denominator, we can just use this middle factor, this middle denominator. That's going to be our common denominator. So on this outside one, we need to multiply the top and the bottom by n plus 4. So we have n plus 4 over n plus 4 times 1 over n minus 1 is equal to 5n over n minus 1 times n plus 4 minus, we have to multiply this one by n minus 1. So minus n minus 1 over n minus 1 times 3 over n plus 4. Great. Simplifying this down, we get n plus 4 over our denominator, n minus 1 times n plus 4 is equal to 5n over n minus 1 times n plus 4 minus 3n minus 1 over n minus 1 times n plus 4. Great, so we can multiply this whole thing by our denominator, n minus 1 times n plus 4. And so those are going to cancel out. So then we're just left with the top. So we have n plus 4 is equal to 5n minus 3. I'm going to distribute this. 3n plus 3. Okay. Simplifying down, we get n plus 4 is equal to 2n plus 3. I can subtract 1n. I get 4 is equal to n plus 3. Subtract 3. I get n is equal to 1. Great. So but we have to go back and check our answer. So if we look back into our original equation, our first fraction says 1 over n minus 1. If we were to plug 1 into that, we would get 1 over 1 minus 1, which simplifies down to 1 over 0, which we know we can't divide by 0. So n minus 1 cannot be a solution. So this does not have a solution, so no solution. Our next one is asking us to solve the following equations for a specified value, which is y. So our first one is 4x minus 3y equals 6. And we want to solve this for y, so we want to get y alone. So first we're going to subtract 4x from both sides. We have negative 3y is equal to 6 minus 4x. Then we can just divide by negative 3. And we get y is equal to 6 minus 4x over negative 3. The next one we have 4x plus 6y is equal to ax plus c. Again, we're solving for y, so we want to get y alone, so we subtract 4x from both sides. So we get 6y is equal to ax minus 4x plus c. Then we're going to divide everything by 6. So we end up getting y is equal to ax minus 4x plus c over 6. Okay, so Sally is looking to invest $50,000, one in X amount into a 15% simple interest fund, and then a different amount from that $50,000 into the CD that earns 7% simple interest. And she wants to get $6,000 a year in interest. So step one is we need to remember our simple interest equation, which is going to be I equals PRT, where I is our interest, P is our principal, how much money we're putting into it, rate is our rate, or R is our rate, and T is time. And so also we need to think about we have two different accounts here. So we're going to set up a little table. So on this side I'm going to have I, I'm going to have P over here, I have R, and I'm going to have T. So we have two accounts. So step one, we know our time. She says she wants $6,000 a year. So each of these is going to be 1 for a year. Our rate, we know one of our rates is 15%, so 0.15. And the other one is 7%, so 0.07. And we know that we have $50,000 total, and that some amount of money is going to be in the first one and some amount of money is going to be in the second one. But we know that they add up to 15, so we can write that as like X for our first one and then 50,000 minus X for our second one. Okay, so our interest, we don't know it, but we know that they need to add up to, so we'll just say I1, I2. We know that I1 plus I2 equals 6,000. Great. So let's set up these equations. So we have X times 0.15 times 1 is equal to I1. And then we have 50,000 times, 50,000 minus X times 0.07 times 1 is equal to I2. So then we can take these equations and add them together. So we have, let's simplify down a little bit. We have X times 0.15, and it's added to this bottom one. So we need to multiply this 0.07 across. So we have 50,000 times 0.07, which is going to be 3,500. So we add, since we're distributing this, we have 3,500. And then this also times this negative x minus 0.07 x. And we know that this is going to be equal to our 6,000. Okay, so now we can add like terms. So we have a 0.15x and a minus 0.07. So 0.01 or 0.15 minus 0.07 is going to be equal to 0.08. So we have 0.08x plus 3,500 equals 6,000. We subtract the 3,500. So 6,000 minus 3,500 is 2,500, so we get 0.08x equals 2,500. If we divide by 0.08, we end up getting x is equal to 3,1,250. So this is how much money we want to invest in our first fund, which is our 15%, which is our bond fund. But we also want to know how much we want to invest into our CD. So we know that our CD principal is 50,000 minus x. So we need to do 50,000 minus that 31, and we end up getting CD principal is going to be equal to $18,750. So this next one, Helen is mixing some fruit juice and some soda to make a punch for a party. She can purchase fruit juice for $8 a gallon and soda for $6 a gallon, and she wants to make 28 gallons of punch at $6.50 a gallon. How many gallons of fruit juice and how many gallons of soda should she purchase? Okay, so we really have two equations here. So we have, if we label the amount of gallons that we need of fruit juice, let's say like F. So F equals gallons of fruit juice. And we can say S is equal to gallons of soda, right? So then we can say that she wants 28 gallons total. So the equation would be F plus S equals 28, right? Okay. The other equation is a little more difficult, but it's easy. So the next equation is going to be how much money, right? So she wants, we can get fruit juice for $8 a gallon, so 8 times F, right? Plus our soda for $6 a gallon, 6 times S is going to be equal to how many gallons, or how much we want per gallon at the end. We want 6.5 times 28, right? So it's the amount times the gallons plus the amount times the gallons is equal to the amount times the gallons, yeah? So now what we have here is two equations and two unknowns. And remember, if we have two equations and two unknowns, we can always solve for both. So step one is we're going to solve this first equation for either F or S. I'm going to pick F. So we end up getting, if we solve this for F, we end up getting F is equal to 28 minus S. So now that we have an equation for F, we can plug that in to our function here. So we have 8 times 28 minus S plus 6S equals 6.5 times 28. So I can do some simplifying here. We can distribute this. We end up getting 8 times 28, which is 224, minus 8S plus 6S, and then 6.5 times 28, 182. It's equal to 182. So then we can solve this for S. So we can combine these like terms here. We have 224 minus 2S is equal to 182. We subtract 224 from both sides. 182 minus 224 is going to be negative 42. So we get negative 2s is equal to negative 42. If we divide both sides by negative 2, negative 42 divided by negative 2 is equal to 21. So S is going to be equal to 21. So that's how many gallons of soda we have, but now we need to figure out how many gallons of fruit juice we want. But remember, from our first equation, we have F plus S equals 28, so we can just say, drop a line right here, F plus 21 is equal to 28, and we can solve. We get F is equal to 7. So really we need 21 gallons of soda and 7 gallons of fruit juice. Okay, so it's asking us to find how long it'll take the planes to cover 4,000 miles when one is traveling 450 miles an hour and the other traveling 550 miles an hour. So remember our equation, S equals distance over time. We solve that equation for T, because that's what we're looking for, right? We end up getting T is equal to D over S. Okay, so we need to think about it here. Our T for each of these equations is going to be the same, right? Because we're looking for the amount of time it's going to take for both these planes to, when they're both flying at the same time. So we have T is equal to distance 1 over 450. And we have T is equal to distance 2 over 550. We also know that since these are the same T, we can set these equations equal to each other. So we get D1 over 450 is equal to D2 over 550. And D1 and D2 just represent the distance that each plane goes. We also know that D1 plus D2 is going to be equal to our 4,000 miles, right? So great. Okay, so now, again, remember we have two equations and we have two unknowns. We can always solve for our variables. So let's solve this for one variable. So we have D1 is equal to 4,000 minus D2, right? We can plug that into our equation. So we have 4,000 minus D2 over 450 is equal to D2 over 550. Next, I'm going to cross multiply to solve these. So we're going to set this one equal to this one. So we end up getting 550 times 4,000 minus D2 is going to be equal to 450 times D2. We can distribute and multiply 550 times 4,000. It's a really big number. We get 22 with 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, minus 550 D2 is equal to 450 D2. We can add our like terms. 450 plus 550 is equal to 1,000. So we get 22, 5 is equal to 1,000 D2. And then we can divide by 1,000. So then we end up getting 22 with 5 zeros divided by 1,000. That's going to be equal to 2,200 equal to D2. So then we can put this back into, we can put this back into our original equation here. We don't even need to find D1. And we can say 2200 over 550 is going to be equal to the time it takes. So 2200 divided by 550 is equal to 4. So T is equal to 4. So it should take us 4 hours for these planes to be to travel 4,000 miles. T is equal to 4. Okay, so a water tank is filled by 2 inlet pipes. Pipe A can fill the tank in 4.5 hours. Both pipes working together can fill the tank in 2 hours. How long does it take for the pipe to be filled, or the tank to be filled by only using pipe B? Okay, so how we're going to set up this equation is we're going to have kind of the rate at which these pipes fill up the tank individually and then added together. So basically we're going to have like one tank fill up over how much time it takes for pipe A. We're going to add one fill up by how much pipe B takes to do, which we don't know, we're going to label as B. And then we're going to have one fill up of the tank over how long it takes both of them to, this should be equal to how long it takes both of them to fill it up, which is 2. Okay, so now we just want to solve this equation for B. So if we subtract 1 over 4.5, we end up getting 1 over B is equal to 1/2 minus 1 over 4.5. And then our common denominator here is going to be 9. So we get 1 over B is equal to 4.5 over 9 minus 2 over 9. We simplify that down, we get 1 over B is equal to 2.5 over 9. If we cross multiply to solve, we end up getting 9 is equal to 2.5B. And then 9 divided by 2.5 is going to be 3.6. It's equal to B. So it should take tank B 3.6 hours, or pipe B 3.6 hours to fill up the tank. So this next one says that a cookie recipe has a ratio of 3 eggs to 4 dozen cookies. How many cookies in dozens would be produced if a dozen eggs were used? Okay, so we have 3 eggs to 4 dozen cookies. We're going to set that ratio equal to a dozen eggs, so 12 eggs over X amount of cookies, right? So again, we can cross multiply here to solve, or multiply this by this, set it equal to each other. So we have 3x is equal to 12 times 4, which is 48. If we divide both sides by 3, we end up getting x is equal to 16. So it says answer with a complete sentence, so it would take it would be 16 dozen cookies with 12 eggs. So it's asking us to find the dimensions of a rectangular pasture if the length is 200 feet more than the width, and the perimeter of the pasture is 1,400 feet. Okay, so let's draw it first. So we have this rectangular pasture. It says the length is 200 feet more than the width. So the width is W. We can say the length is W plus 200. Then it says, we know that the perimeter is 1,040 feet. So the perimeter is all the sides added together. So we have W plus W plus W plus 200 plus W plus 200. And this is equal to 1,040. So here we can count. We have 4w, so 4w plus 400 is equal to 1040. If we solve for w, we get 1040 minus 400, which is 640. 4w is equal to 640. We divide by 4. We get w is equal to 160. Great, so now we know that length is equal to w plus 200. So we know that our length is going to be equal to 360. So w equals 160 and L equals 360.
All right, number 11. Write the following powers of I in the simplest form. So I to the 27th, we can break that into I to the 24th times I cubed. We want this one to be a multiple of 4. So this will then simplify to 1 times, and then the I cubed simplifies to negative I. So I to the 27th simplifies to negative I. I to the negative 18th is equal to I to the negative 16th times I to the negative 2nd. So that's equal to 1 times negative 1. So I to the negative 18th is equal to negative 1. I to the 64 is already a multiple of 4, so we get 1. And I to the 33rd is I to the 32nd times I, which is equal to I. All right, 12. Write the following expressions in terms of I and simplify. So the square root of negative 16 times square root 12 is equal to 4I times root 12. 12 can then be simplified to, or the square root of 12 can be simplified to root 3, giving us 8I root 3. And part B, square root of negative 24 times square root of negative 56 is equal to I root 24 times I root 56. So we're going to get I squared times, and we're going to start factoring these. So 24 is 4 times 6 times 56 times 4 times 14. So we can pull that 4 out. So we'll get the I squared becomes negative 1 times 4. And then 6 and 14 can both split into 2 times 3 for 6 and 2 times 7 for 14. So we can pull that additional 2 out. So we'll get negative 4 times 2 times the square root of 3 times 7 is 21. So negative 8 square root 21. Then C, square root of negative 20 over root 45 is equal to I root 20 over root 45. I 4 times 5 over root 9 times 5, which is equal to I times 2 times root 5 over 3 times root 5. The root 5 divided by root 5 is 1, so this is going to equal 2/3 I. Given the following complex numbers, identify the real part and the imaginary part. So this is really easy. The one that doesn't have the I, so the -5, 4, and -6 are all the reals. The +3i, -2i, and -4i are the imaginary.